All right, and we are live. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Thought I would sit down and do a video for you guys and gals. Hold on, let me get Facebook. I think if you guys will please follow me on Facebook, it would be greatly appreciated. So I'm going to briefly discuss the whole Mike Tyson fight. Because I had said both in the stream and I said on Facebook, I predicted Mike Tyson was going to win by knockout. I got it wrong, flat wrong. And looking at it, the whole thing obviously is the case of age really did catch up with Mike. I mean, granted, the dude is still, I wouldn't want to get in a boxing ring with that man because I'm not a fighter. He'd probably clean my clock. But that being said, age caught up to him, and it's just the reality of it. Is it possible that it was staged? It's very, very much possible. Again, he's 58 and he was doing good a few years ago still, but there just simply comes a point where you have to say, look, the man's 58 years old. 58 years old is asking a lot. It's asking a lot to get in a boxing ring against a guy who's 27 in good shape, obviously trained boxer. Was the whole thing staged? Probably to some extent. And the thing is, I think a lot of people pointed out that Jake Paul held back on him, and he probably did. And that's okay, because you know what? They made a ton of money. I don't even feel bad for Mike in that regard. People are like, oh, poor Mike. It's like, what do you mean? He knew where he was at. He knew, I'm probably too old to still do this, but he got paid $20 million. Man just made another $20 million. More power to him, right? Go get your money, dude. But seeing Mike Tyson, of course, lose, right? Seeing Mike Tyson lose, kind of rough as someone who grew up watching Mike be the baddest mofo ever when I was a kid, right? Playing Mike Tyson's Punch Out on my NES. Oh, man. Is what it is, though. But the thing is, you can't even feel bad. Obviously, it was a stage thing, and I'm more upset with Netflix than anything because I was not able to watch the fight live. I tried, and the streaming kept dropping out. I didn't even get to see the women box, which everyone said was great. I saw 3 rounds of the first fight, didn't get the other 3 because it kept buffering and loading. Missed the whole women's fight, and then, with Serrano and everything, and I saw only the first round. I only got to see the first round, that night, last night, with Tyson and Jake Paul. So, it is what it is. What do? They dropped the ball on that one. So let's get over to some of the questions. I think it was staged. Possibly. I think very much. Definitely a money grab. For those curious, I'm drinking a protein shake here. But yeah, I called it wrong. Maybe I was just being too hopeful. To be fair, Tyson just one clean punch. Did he? I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much power he still has behind those punches at his age. Now, granted, he probably still packs a hell of a punch, but we do know that upper threshold motor units start cutting out as we get older. It's one of the reasons it's hard to keep muscle with age, because we can't always get to the fastest switch muscle fibers anymore. Andoroso says, I sometimes mix BCAAs with pre-workout better energy. BCAAs are completely useless. Completely useless supplement, and I'm not really a fan of pre-workouts either. The woman's fight was hard to watch, the JP and Tyson fight. Yeah, I think it probably was. Prime 20-year-old Mike would have destroyed Jake Paul in about 15 seconds. Well, I agree, it would have been over in the first round. But it's not prime Mike, Even, do you even need to be 20? Mike was a beast before he was 20. Mike was a beast when he was a teen. Tyson, I know, he couldn't keep up anymore. No, I don't think Mike could have KO'd him. I think Jake Paul held back a little. And again, it's the case of, I mean, Mike's 58. You know, he was the baddest man in the ring forever. But he's 58 years old. You know, what do you do? He was in great shape though. Still, I mean, he looked good. I'd give him that. I mean, he's kept his fitness up, right? He's kept his fitness up. Aren't many 58-year-olds walking around looking like that. Simon says, you know how strong Sylvester Stallone was in his prime? No idea. No idea. We don't have a lot of info on that. Keep in mind, Sylvester Stallone was never carrying huge amounts of muscle. He was just really lean, you know, in good shape, decent amount of muscle, really lean. Keep in mind, size and strength cannot be fully separated. Don't let people convince you of that other than for a tiny, tiny number of genetic freaks. There's such a microscopically small amount of people. Huckleberry says, why no likes? I don't know. People give me some likes. Mike said it's not his last fight. Hopefully, no, he was not going to rematch him. Right. Benji says, I guarantee Jason is stronger than Prime Stallone. Yeah, I mean, it should be common sense. It should be. I mean, we know what I live these days, and we have an idea of his muscle mass, even in his prime. I guess not an unreasonable assumption, just sheer lean body mass difference and actually lifting heavy, that combination. You know, I mean, and that's not a brag or anything. You think Tyson developed some CTE as peak and now it's impacting his decision making? What do you mean? It was a great decision. He made $20 million, Alan. I mean, that aside, irrelevant. That was not a bad decision. That was an amazing, right? It's amazing. Made $20 million for 8 minutes in the ring. All right. You listen too thick of it. I don't know what that means. Huckleberry. Do you even listen? I'm jealous of your vascularity. It's definitely improved, even in my legs, you guys have seen lately. All right. Boxing is one of the few spots where muscles don't help you as much because they bump you at it. But no, it does help because the higher weight classes, they hit harder. What do you mean? So Liberty, if you use that logic, then we wouldn't have weight classes at all. You know, it's just that a bigger boxer is going to hit harder. It's that simple. It's why they need to put them in different weight classes. I mean, because using that logic, since all sports are weight classes, you would say muscle doesn't help you in powerlifting because you have to go to a bigger weight class. At 58 years old, though, there's no money I would accept to risk my life. Was it really that big of a life risk? And maybe he needed the money. Show's going to be short, but how old was George Foreman when he came back and did that? Keep that in mind. How old was he? I don't actually know. Do you think sets of 5 are good for size on compounds? They can get problematic as you get really advanced. For more novice lifters, Scott, absolutely. It gets a little difficult to optimize muscle growth with 5s. It's a little tricky when you get really advanced. It can be done, but shouldn't you be doing accessory work anyways? Like Scott, if you're trying to get really big, wouldn't you be doing higher rep accessories also? Did Bruce Lee do bodybuilding? No, he did not compete in bodybuilding. I mean, he weight trained religiously. Like Bruce Lee did tons of weightlifting. Tyson is famously bad with money. Yeah, that's what I've always heard. He probably didn't need it, but he got it. He's 58 and just made another $20 million. Not a bad spot to be in. Foreman was 45. Actually, it's younger than I thought. Yeah. That's what I was thinking. I didn't think he was 58. Keep that in mind. Iron BB says, Coach, your honest opinion on creatine. It seems to have minor benefits. The thing with it, it doesn't do much. It's not going to do much, but it's cheap and it does a little bit. So, that's kind of a figure out, is it worth it to you or not, right? So, Iron BB, that's my honest opinion. It's inexpensive. There are very, very minor benefits, and no one claims it helps much. I hope no one claims that. Hey, Benji, please don't feed them. Just ignore them. Thank you. Thoughts on the fly press? It's a combination of the fly and the dumbbell press. I don't think about it at all. Would you consider celebrity boxing? No, why would I? Okay, let me rephrase that, Luke. Sure, for $20 million, I'll get in a ring with Jake Paul. There's your answer. Stallone has extremely jacked forearms. He definitely has gotten more jacked forearms. He's gotten older. Probably done a lot of grip work. Cameron Court says, I don't understand how Jake says he'd shock the world by beating Tyson. He's 58 years old and been retired for 20 years. If Jake fought Tyson's prime, I doubt he would last more than 20 minutes. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But that's not the point. Okay, Jake Paul is clearly a YouTuber, clearly does a lot of this for clout and for money. So what do you mean? It's him saying that was just showmanship, right? Let's just be realistic about it. Of course he's going to say that. He's going to make his money. Luke, 200,000 tax free. Yeah, dude. For 200,000 tax free, I get in a ring and fight. I fight you, Luke. I have no clue about how to box. I'm not a boxer. But yeah, $200,000, absolutely. If I was guaranteed 200,000 win or lose, for me to do 4 rounds in a boxing ring against whoever, I don't care, Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, Vegan Gaines, yeah, 200 grand. I'll take a fall for $200,000. I have no ego about it, right? I don't have any pride about any sort of fighting ability. So for 200 grand, dude, I'll do 4 rounds in a ring and take a butt whooping. Especially if it's tax free, man. Who's somebody going to really offer me that though? Nobody's going to give me that. Nobody in the world's going to offer me that. But of course, obviously, I take it. What kind of blood work and panel to request to measure your hormonal markers? You get a full hormone panel, right? So Liberty, you tell your doctor you want a full hormone profile, right? That's it. Do you think with more training, Mike could do better? He did plenty of training. He's 58 years old, dude. What do you want from the man? Alan says, I think you would do well in jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai, your leg strength. Maybe, but I'm not really interested in doing them. So here's why I might not do well at them, because I'm not interested in doing them. So I wouldn't put my heart and soul into it. So there's that to factor in too, right? To be good at any sport requires more than just having a certain ability. It requires you to actually care. That's kind of important too, right? I think, in my opinion, to be really good at a sport, you also have to care about it. I think that's really important. So that's me as a coach. So I don't know that I would do that well at them because I'm not, I don't care about them enough. If Mike Tyson was 10 years younger, if it's like my dad used to say when we were kids, if a frog had wings, would he bust his ass a hopping? Are we building time machines? So 10 years ago, Jake Paul would have been 17 and a skinny kid. Yeah, Mike got him for sure. Dixon, I bet there would be some offers to fight you. You have some haters. Yeah, no one's gonna give me 200 grand. While you're alive, are there any changes you'd make to Ice Cream Fitness 2024? I think I'm gonna run it after. I might take some of the accessory out. All right. All right. I'm gonna take some of it. It might be a bit much for some people. Maybe take the shrugs out. Hey, Chris, I'm not going to discuss any non-fitness topics anymore. I'm just going to ignore. Just an FYI. And these just going to be purely fitness related from now on. Liberty says the thing about boxing is that it's a heart and lung sport. The oxygen allows your legs to move, and as we age, we lose cardio ability. Yeah, to some extent. Jake Paul looks like he's been crushing with a bit of Debo. So, do you, Hibachi, what makes you think that is his gear of choice? Or is that just the one that you know the name of? People forget that when they do gear talk. You got to wonder, do you know anything about gear? Or are we just picking random drugs because you know the word? Let's always think about that. Mike looked like he was in good. Well, Chris, it's not just that. It's that he's getting older. You're going to get slower. So when they talk about power going first, that is not an arbitrary term. That's not an anecdote. That is something confirmed in the lab. So people forget that. That's not something that just was randomly made up. When we talk about speed, strength, and power, this is something that physiologists understand why it reduces with age. It's not just a random observation people make. Right? So we have to always factor that in. So of course speed strength is going to reduce. That's one reason that you will lose muscle with age eventually, even if you keep using stuff. Right? Because when those upper threshold muscle fibers stop being recruited and your nervous system stops recruiting them with age, you can't train them anymore. They won't recruit when you're doing a curl or a bench press. Right? Hibachi is a reference to an old video. Hibachi, I have 12,000 videos on this channel spanning back 12 years. I won't get your reference, sorry. Just keep that in mind, context. Okay. All right, where are we at? The only person that does appear to be losing muscle with age is Michael Hearn. What a freak. He's all natty. Dude, Mike has done phenomenally well. I mean, you can't even hate on that fact. I haven't played any video games in a couple of years at all, right? You're debating if he did gear in his 20s. Why would you ever assume, Chris, never ever assume an elite athlete is drug free? That's a losing bet every time. How do I put this very, very politely? When someone thinks there's any possibility that an elite professional athlete is drug free, it's a mark of ignorance. So just be careful of that. That means that people have bought into a dog and pony show and they don't know much about actual sports. That's a public discussion, among people who don't really know a lot about sports performance, doping, all that stuff. Would most people benefit from push-pull legs? I think push-pull legs is fine for most people. Yep. A push-pull leg's perfectly reasonable split for most people. 3 day a week if you just need good basic training. Absolutely. Works well, guys. Works really well. You know, not necessarily going to be optimal for everybody by any means. I mean, I choose to do a 5 day split. All right, problem with the SEAL community. Well, it's not the SEAL community, it's the whole SF community. All right, you get around any of those guys, because I know quite a few of them in person due to family, and gear use is really heavy. All right, I've had in-person discussions with a number of those guys about the specifics of what they do. So, it's a normal part. It's a normal part of that world. Mike is still tough as nails for 58. Oh, dude, no one's saying Mike's not tough as nails. Like, I don't want to get in a ring with that man. Silly question, why is it called gear? I have no idea. Liberty, as someone who knows tons about the history and use of those things, I actually have zero idea where that slang term came from. None. Botches, I recently started doing weighted dips. Should I add 5 pounds of workout? No. Why don't you add weight whenever you reach your target reps? You don't just say, hey, I'm going to add 5 pounds of, like, you got to be a ranked novice or on your first steroid cycle to be even thinking in terms of 5 pounds of workout on a lift. Why don't you get to your target reps? Let's say you're aiming for sets of 10. When you can get to 11 reps, you can add some weight. How's that? I think that works a lot better. Wood might be the toughest guy at the bar. I don't know. I guess it depends on where you're at. Hibachi says, thanks, sounds good. You're welcome, man. You are most welcome. We're going to keep this chill. Man, we're going to keep it chill. We're going to stick to fitness and training related questions. I like this. It works a lot better. You guys think? All right, we get calms in, Jason. More enjoyable for me. I like to be relaxed. I try to relax a lot more these days, keep my stress levels low. All right? Just be chill. Be chill, help people. Just chat with my followers. Talk shop. The average human being. Well, anybody drunk at a bar who's not a trained fighter, doesn't want to fight against any trained fighter, that's going to go badly for them. And alcohol itself slows reaction time, slows coordination. Like, that's an automatic disadvantage. All right. That dude on the plane ate a barrage from mine. Yep. Any tips on relaxing? I find things in life can get me worried at times. Scott, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Learn to ask yourself, do things really matter? Right? That's a big part of relaxing. Are you letting yourself get worked up over things that you have no reason to get worked up over? Do you benefit from getting worked up over it? Or is your solution better to just be calm and chill? And I think that's oftentimes the case, man. Sometimes us getting worked up creates the problems. It makes the problems worse. And if you can learn to be calm, you can be chill, you can stay in problem solving mode, you don't get stressed. When I trained a BJJ a decade ago, we had black belts in the early 60s. You could destroy the younger 20-year-olds without breaking a sweat. Don't mess with. Yeah, I mean, dude, especially if they're minimal training still. No, Luke, I would not suggest people take stuff like that. Just unless your doctor has prescribed it to you for a reason, no, I don't think you should take that at home. Be my opinion. That would be my advice. That's not something you should just take on your own. Right? So does your doctor think you need it? There's your answer. Not everyone ages the same. There's a lot of variables. I've seen more and more data emerging that literally just being obese in terms of body fat ages you faster. Our sports drinks like Gatorade, legit, they're okay, but technically milk beat them for hydration in all the studies that have been looked at it. A lot of people are unaware of that. Dude, milk is an amazing hydrator. It has beat sports drinks in studies for post-workout hydration. Literally. Yeah, says Jason, I got to run literally pretty quick here, but before I leave, I want to say thank you for the advice on here and Instagram. Hey, man, you are most welcome, brother. I'm glad that I've been able to give advice to help you. What lifts and numbers on the list for the Fight Club physique? I don't think you need to be that strong. You just need to be lean and work out for that. Because those weren't big physiques for Fight Club, right? Talking Brad Pitt and Ed Norton, they weren't super jacked. Just go work out and follow a good program and get lean. But it kind of comes back to what I tell people: get lean and then lean bulk. Quit all this bulking fat, guys. All right? Worst mistake I ever made with my training and nutrition. Jason, I did starting strength until I got to a 315 deadlift, 250 squat, and 52. Nothing impressive, but I don't much benefit in pursuing higher numbers. What do you think is a squeeze? Yeah, I mean, it can be. Those numbers are okay. You could just do rep work with those numbers. So here's the thing, Liberty. If you look at that and say, I don't care about lifting more weight, and just build your reps up with those weights, right? In your 50s, you'll be pretty good. You get to where you can do 10 reps with both of those. As you get further into your 50s, you're in a pretty good spot overall. Benji says, I drink a ton of milk every day. I never feel dehydrated, barely drink enough water. I mean, milk can definitely hydrate you. The research on it shows that. Chris says, I have an autoimmune disease, and a lot of research I've done for muscle building and living to 100 is a Greek diet and Caribbean diet. It's olive oil, lean protein, and nuts. Yeah, or like the Mediterranean type diet. The Mediterranean diet has done really, really well on all the research. You know, now the main thing, again, gain muscle and get lean. Eat a whole foods diet. Avoid a lot of heavily refined foods. Avoid refined sugars. Avoid refined fats. And avoid alcohol. Like if you do that, that's 90% of the battle. Okay, that is 90% of the battle right there for most of your health stuff and nutrition. Like just quit eating those 3 garbage things. Eat whole foods and eat lots of protein. Okay, pretty straightforward. Avoid refined sugar, refined fats. That would include oils and butter. Avoid alcohol. Like just completely throw them away. Abstain from all those things. Eat plenty of protein, eat whole foods, lift weights. You'd be in a good spot. Could we use literature to back up the stretch position? What do you mean? What do you mean, can we use literature to back it up? I don't know that the literature fully supports it that much, to be fair, at this point in the game. Except carbs are good too, I think, but in moderation. Honestly, we could debate. I'm going to actually say what I've said many times. There comes down to individual preferences on carbs versus fat. All the research really shows you could eat really high or low carb or fat as long as the protein is high and you eat whole foods and be perfectly healthy and be perfectly lean. Okay, just be aware of that. So that's the way to look at it. So I mean, if we're really looking for something, that's what it shows. But if we want to follow an ideology, we could certainly pick one. And that's stuff I'm realizing more and more the longer I do this. We probably do need ideologies to get a message across. I guess the only way people absorb it, and that's just the nature of it. I just wonder how people got muscular thousands of years ago. People like Hercules are probably loosely based on real people. They lifted stuff. They lifted rocks. And in fact, Hibachi, the ancient Greeks wrote all about progressive overload. Where do you think we got the idea of progressive overload? It came from ancient Greece. So no, you can't say they didn't understand resistance training. And why did they write about it 3,000 plus years ago? So that would be my question. If you think that they didn't understand progressive overload, why did they write about it 3,000 years ago and leave the records of it for us? See the problem with that chain of logic? You literally talked about Hercules, but we have the ancient Greeks are considered to be the fathers of progressive overload, where we got all the modern theory from. Japanese diet is great too. They have a 3% obesity rate in America. Yeah. But again, we come down to following those basic ideas. But that's only avoiding obesity. It's not going to handle the other end, the muscle end, because the Japanese are also not jacked. And we're talking about stuff benefits, and we're wanting to get jacked on top of it, right? How many sets do you recommend for 90-95% of gains, not including the half sets for certain? Oh, we start talking 95 to 100%, probably close to 20 sets of muscle group, right? Now you can probably get 80 to 90% doing as little as 6 to 8 really hard sets, 6 to 10 for sure. But if you're trying to get to that 95 to 100, you may need to be closer to 20, right? Fast food and unhealthy food were illegal. No, that's a fact. It wouldn't exist. Opinion on push-ups and pull-ups, those are separate questions. I love pull-ups. I'm not a big fan of push-ups. I don't think they really compare with free weights for the most part in terms of total function of what you can do. They're not bad. They're just not as good. Pull-ups are amazing. I'm a massive pull-up fan, but I think you need to progress to weighted pull-ups. I do them all weighted. Says me, my opinion. Japanese avoid processed foods, eat fish, rice, fermented vegetables. Those can get you jacked. Absolutely. Especially you get all that protein, plenty of fish, you do it. Right? I mean, I would almost tell people, when it comes to meat, if I could tolerate stand fish and and budget was not an issue, I mean, salmon would be awesome. I tell people eat a pound of salmon every day. My God. That would pretty much be a superfood. How much body weight pull-ups for one should add weight? I think at least 10 to 12 reps. I love fishes. Yeah, especially the good fish. Like if we start talking salmon and mackerel, the stuff you really, really want, and that adds up. What do you think of the argument that vegetables are bad? I think that's an absolutely ludicrous idea. I am a massive advocate for vegetables, Luke, and I very staunchly oppose the carnivore anti-vegetable movement. I am one of the biggest people who stand against that. Like I think it's extremely dangerous, extremely bad advice, and extremely harmful. But I also believe eating tons of lean protein is great. So they get that part right. They also avoid refined sugar, which I think is great. But the avoiding vegetables is literally insane. And completely debunked by all the scientific literature. There's tuna steak is amazing, it's expensive. The other issue is it's a little high in mercury. You really don't want to eat a pound of tuna a day. Right? Too big of a fish, too far up the food chain, too much mercury because of the pollution in the water. Right? Favorite tricep exercise? I'm going to go with incline extension. Can someone avoid vegetables by eating more fruit? In theory, but I still think there's benefits to vegetables. You might come up short on stuff like vitamin K. Otherwise, pretty good. Right? There's some fruits that have plenty of vitamin K. They're rare. The micronutrient vegetables are crucial. Yeah, and it's not just the micros. We're also have to think about all of the phytonutrients. Do you recommend going to buffets? No, not necessarily. I don't think you should bulk. I think people should eat lean, bulk, or recomp for the most part. I don't advocate GOMAD unless you literally need the calories. I mean, most people don't. Right? So my opinions have probably changed on it multiple times over the years, depending upon the context. But any opinions on GOMAD are always context specific. Okay, so let's be clear on that, Jorgen. They have always been context specific. I've generally said it's a bad idea for most people. And that part's never changed. What's your opinion is the healthiest diet vegetable we should clear? I don't know that I would narrow it down to one. I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, I might lean towards an avocado, but we could make the case that maybe that might not be best. I think you should eat several types of vegetables. Like just for me today, I've had avocado, I've had spinach, and I've had red pepper. Right? What's your opinion on losing half a pound a week? Do you think that's too slow? No, I think that's great. That's a good number. It's very easy to retain muscle and possibly even gain a small amount losing that unless you're really lean. If you're really lean, that's going to be a problem. If you're like 10, 11% body fat, that might be too fast. If you're 20%, that's great. So again, there's a sliding scale there based upon what you have. 26% body fat, yeah, you can gain muscle at that point doing that. Like you could literally recomp at 26% body fat losing at that rate. So that's a great rate. Do you think you'd still be lifting at age 70? I hope so. Instapot for the win. Yeah, dude, definitely. Instapots are great. I use mine a lot. Right? They're fantastic. Liberty, I heard you mention that as a coach, you would like to stay under 10%. What's the harm? Well, how much is a little extra? You mean 12%? No, that's fine. So when I say the 10%, that is purely from a business perspective. I want to be clear there, Liberty. It has nothing to do with my health, has nothing to do with how I feel about myself. That is purely a financial decision. That's it. 20 to 24 will hurt your health. I will say, objectively speaking, being 20% body fat, if you're over 40 years old, will 100% shorten your lifespan and 100% hurt your health. Guaranteed. You're going to have more inflammation. You're going to have more cardiovascular risk, more atherosclerosis, all those things. That's way too fat. Right? That is harmful to your health. You're going to have higher risks of cardiovascular disease, atherosclerosis, and cancer, actually. More likely to have erectile dysfunction and stuff, too. All right? Luke, I don't know how high I got. I get new bet. You mean over? Yeah, I was definitely over 30%. I got up to 300 pounds again. No way I was under 30%. No way. What do 70-year-olds lifters look like? Probably push-pull legs. Jordan, what's your opinion on a full body 3 times a week for novice? I think it's fine for novices, but I could put a novice on a split if I'm controlling their programming on a weekly basis. What vitamins, minerals do you take? Currently, I take extra strength fish oil, enough to get 2 grams of EPA, DHA. I'm taking a little bit of D3 and a little K2. That's my whole supplement stack. Plus whey protein. Everything's going good, Lacey. Although, Lacey, I'm not doing any non-fitness questions anymore at all in the chat, so 0 in here. Facebook, I'll do some other topics. Yeah, but hello to you too. I hope that you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. All right. But I'm probably going to wind this down here, guys, here in a few minutes because I did some other stuff. Is 77 kilograms for a 6-foot person a good body weight? I lift 1 to 2 times a week or moderate. It's probably fine, yeah. Go pull up on a BMI chart. Jason, do you see that study that came out recently that showed it could be bad? There's always been mixed bag on that. I don't think there's any reason to actually think it's problematic. Are there any intermediate programs out there? No, certain points in intermediate custom programming is probably good. You could run 5-3-1. You could run a version of conjugate. You can run a power building body part split at that point, just fine. What brand? I use NutriCoast. All my stuff's NutriCoast right now. All my stuff other than my protein, which is Optimal Nutrition. Hey, Jason, you can message them to me on Facebook or Instagram, but I need you to link the video and explain to me why you want me to cover it, not just link me the video, because I need to have a reason to spend my time looking at the video, because I'm a busy man, and I would appreciate that. Or only body fat calculators, maybe. DEXA scans the only, right? Have you heard of a YouTuber named Jack's Fit? Nope, never heard of him, dude. Nope, never heard that name in my life. Thoughts on garlic pills for heart health? I think there's no reason to think they're beneficial to heart health. All right. Yeah, no, Liberty, if you want to accurate body fat, you need to get a DEXA scan. That's pretty much the gold standard. All right, guys, I think I'm going to go ahead and wind this down. All right. I'm going to wind this down. Actually, I have one thing. Lacey says, I'm focused on front squats right now because they've never been great for me. Drop back squats altogether. I don't think you should drop back squats personally. Would you post content to X extra money? Are they monetized, Luke? Like, do they have a content creator program? I'm not aware that they do. All right. Then a progress like 5x5. That's too disjointed of a question, Lacey. So if you want programming, that's where we go into paid consultations. All right. Yeah, but the problem with X is that I would ask is, does X offer a monetization program? Because that's a whole nother platform I've got to delve into. And if I'm not going to get paid, I'm not going to do it. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and wind this down then. So I hope it's been informative. I love all of you guys and gals, and I will talk to you next time.